Welcome, climate viewers. This is take two of my first live stream on YouTube, trying to get it to work properly this time, realizing that obviously I did it all wrong last time. Then I got a phone call from my wife in the middle of it, so looks like I may have it figured out this time. I just played the intro. Did anybody actually hear the intro? Did that work out okay? Just curious. Show me in chat if you heard that. Sweet. So apparently I'm doing a little better than the last time. Last time I was busy setting up the show and not realizing that while hitting start streaming, it was actually live on YouTube. And this time it's actually showing that it's live, so that's kind of funny. Well, anyway. So I was over on Mike Morales' channel enjoying the show as usual. Mike does an excellent job, and I wanted to kind of play off that. And I had sent him a couple links he wasn't able to get to, so we'll jump into those. And I want to show you guys a little bit about ClimateViewer 3D. If you're not familiar with it, you're going to see some pretty crazy stuff, and give you some of the latest geoengineering news of the day. So we're going to jump right into that. Give me 1 second. Let me bring up the screen. So if you guys missed it, I was just on freemantv.com. I don't know if you guys have heard of Freeman Fly, but we had an excellent interview. You can check that out. I'll drop the link in chat. And there we go again with the little... It doesn't want to let me talk. So give me 1 second. Apparently I have to pop out the freaking window and then log in, and then I can actually talk to people. Go figure. And it's still not letting me paste links. God, YouTube, you hate me so much. I don't know why. Yeah, I can make a love icon, but I can't post a link. I hate YouTube sometimes. I swear to God. Anyway, so that's over on Freeman TV, and you guys can check that out there. Go figure. Let's see right here. Let me put this chat back where it was, because apparently it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. So, yeah, it was a great interview. The first hours there. You'll have to sign in to hear the next hour and a half. We get really deep into it. Pretty freaking awesome guy. I mean, we were really resonating well, and I fully enjoyed that. Next up, we got right here on Geoengineering Monitor. I don't know if you guys know about the climate, conference that's going on right now, but it's going to get kind of crazy. And Geoengineering Monitor is run by the ETC group. I'm a big supporter of them. Have been for years, and they got a great article up: distractors and disruptors, collusion or convergence. And I think this says it all. Silicon Valley and big oil are heading in the same direction for different reasons. Geoengineering as a climate techno fix. So what's happening here is, although we've been having geoengineering from ship tracks and aircraft for years and years and years, and they want to throw a tinfoil hat on your ass if you say that it's geoengineering. I've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that's what that is. We all know it. But regardless, this legalized geoengineering, there's a separation between the two. In the science world, they call that accidental geoengineering. And, the chemtrails, the ship tracks, that's accidental geoengineering. Let me bring that up real quick. Accidental geoengineering. And that's the wrong damn link. But anyway, same idea. Airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. And this is from Smithsonian Magazine, as you can see here. And that's really the crux of the problem. They want to call all of this an accident. which is, as we all know at this point, that's bullshit. But regardless, plane farts are no longer just an accident. I've covered it in depth. I've interviewed the head of the Federal Aviation Administration. Dude says we want to make clouds by day, none by night. You can see that over here on ClimateViewer.com. Front page, you can either go over here to Geoengineering, click on Cirrus Clouds Matter, or just right here, click on Cirrus Clouds Matter, and near the bottom, you're going to see an article titled FAA Scientist, We Want to Make Clouds by Day, None by Night. And that's exactly what they said, that their plan now is to continue making clouds with all these planes during the daytime, but make them go away at nighttime. And the way they're going to make them go away at nighttime is with what's called cirrus cloud thinning or cirrus cloud seeding. And they've gone so far as to now call this cocktail geoengineering. So I have another article, Cirrus Clouds Matter, Geoengineering with Cirrus Cloud Seeding. And let's see if it... Oh, did it? Oh, it let me... I could finally post links. Yay! So I'll drop the links for those two articles in chat for you guys. So those are the two main articles I have on this topic. And then the final one where I sum it all up. Accidental geoengineering. This pretty much sums up the whole damn thing. And this was originally posted. I wrote this article for MIT.edu. And you can see a link to that, right here, climatex.mit.edu. It was the most viewed article on their entire website. So what did they go and do? They deleted the damn thing. But there's the original link. It was posted March 22nd, 2018. And it comes down to this, MIT said the exact same thing. We're about to kill a massive accidental experiment in reducing global warming. And they're talking about ship tracks. So let's get this straight, guys. Airplane contrails are accidental geoengineering, and ship tracks are an accidental experiment. Right. Okay. So now that we've laid the groundwork for all of that, you guys can check out the article. It's rather lengthy. Right there. But this is really what hits you in the gonads. The emissions and climate change that we're causing let me blow this up so you guys can read it. The emissions and climate change we're causing that is already a massive experiment on our world, and we don't really know the outcome of. So I don't think we should start another set of experiments and go into geoengineering. I think we should get our act together and reduce our emissions. And that was UN Assistant Secretary General Janos Pastor. You won't believe what this guy is doing now. He is actually head of the Carnegie Mellon Geoengineering Forum now. So there you go. You can't make this shit up. He just said we shouldn't go into geoengineering, but now he is senior fellow and executive director, Carnegie Climate Geoengineering Governance Initiative. So, wow, that's a 180. You go from, I don't think we should go into geoengineering to, I'm now working for Carnegie Mellon and Carnegie University's Climate Geoengineering Governance Initiative. So what do you guys think, governance initiatives are? What is this geoengineering governance they're talking about? What they're talking about is best stated right here by John Neeson, chairman of the AMEG, Arctic Methane Emergency Group. What we suggest is that the G20 should initiate an international project with the Manhattan Project's focus on and intensity in order to determine and implement the optimum strategy for keeping the planet safe for future generations. So that's where the New Manhattan Project comes from. I originally put this out a couple years ago, and what's the guy's name? He actually wrote a book called The New Manhattan Project. Name slips my mind right now. Somebody in chat help me out. But regardless, that's where this statement comes from, because that's exactly where we're at. This New Manhattan Project, using accidental geoengineering from ship tracks and contrails. That they're going to geoengineer the planet using, that. Ulrich Schumann said we need less warming, more cooling contrails. So the idea is, right now, all the clouds that are being made by ships and planes, they actually trap heat. So they're actually trapping more heat than CO2. And their goal is to thin these clouds out so that they just cool the planet. And you can read all about that there. I really got sidetracked. So that brings us back to, the Geoengineering Monitor article, that they're having this new climate conference right now. And both sides of the fence, are pushing for legalized geoengineering, which brings up the question, how are they going to deal with this? So panelists call for creation of World Commission to handle solar radiation management, December 5th, 2018. Yeah, that's today. So I'll drop that link in chat for you guys. And this has been going on for a long time. Back in the day when this originally started, it was called the Solar Radiation Management Governance Initiative, SRMGI. Yeah, Peter Kirby, the New Manhattan Project. Peter Kirby basically went through my website, and there wasn't a single thing in the book that I hadn't already wrote myself. But good shout out to Peter Kirby for taking a lot of my research and putting it in a book. Bravo to him. Love to talk to him someday. Maybe we could write his next book. But regardless, panelists call for creation of World Commission to handle solar radiation management. And they've got a nice little pamphlet here, and I'll drop that over there in chat for you guys as well. And this is from ceassessment.org, or the Forum for Climate Engineering Assessment, which used to be known as the DC Geoengineering Group. They renamed themselves FCEA. And one of the guys over there, Will Burns, originally took my weather modification history timeline, and he wrote his own. It was on Dippity.com, and he posted it on Ken Caldera's forum, The History of Geoengineering, using my pictures and everything. So me and the Forum for Climate Engineering Assessment go back all the way to 2012. And Will Burns actually agreed to an interview. I never got around to it. Maybe I should holler at your boy. But regardless, this was just put out. Governing Solar Radiation Management Academic Working Group on Climate Engineering Governance. So what they're really trying to do right now is come up with a set of laws to determine how to deal with the dead people. Don't believe me? You're not going to believe this. I'm going to go back to ClimateViewer, and I'm going to click on Geoengineering. And right here at the very top, Introduction to Geoengineering, you'll see the words, kill people. And this is back from when I was in Ken Caldera's geoengineering group. And what you're going to see here is an article, SRM Geoengineering, How to Deal with the Losers. Okay? And this is dated February 20th, 2010. So this is back when I first started debating the geoengineers. You can actually see all of my posts right here. I was, in there with Ken Caldera, David Keith, Alan Robach, all of them. When I put out that article about the Arctic Methane Emergency Group right here, I have repeatedly asked John Neeson to remove my name from the AMEG website, Ken Caldera. He blew his lid, because I wrote an article and I was like, hey, Ken Caldera, they're talking about you on AMEG. And you can see right here the history of weather control interactive timeline dated 2013. And these are, all of my posts. AMEG, the Angels Proposal Project, Lucy and Harp, Turning Methane Emergency, blah, blah, blah. That's when Ken Caldera lost his shit. And anyway, this one, there's one on here in particular, the you don't have all the variables argument. And right here, this has 291 views. It is the second most viewed post ever on Ken Caldera's forum. They went through and retroactively deleted all of my comments. And you can see right here Ken Caldera responding to me in 2012 saying that I'm arguing a straw man. Oh, but they screwed up because it says right here on, December 27th, 2012, Jim Lee wrote, and there's my whole post anyway. And I talk about, how Ken Caldera and company were trying to steer hurricanes. So I go on to tell him, I'm like, well, Ken, you and the boys are, talking about geoengineering while at the same time talking about steering hurricanes. WTF. But regardless, I said the lines between weather modification and geoengineering are imaginary ones. Therefore, I ask you, how will the geoengineers address the statements of the AMS, WMO, and NRC on weather modification that basically for 60 years they have not been able to prove that cloud seeding works? Okay? And they want to go ahead with geoengineering on a worldwide scale, yet they don't know jack about any of this stuff. And you can read this. I've been approached by so many lawyers and, government officials who read this argument and were like, damn, you're right. And there have been 3 attempts since I wrote this post to prove that cloud seeding works. All 3 have failed miserably. So this is way back in 2012. And that's what most people don't know about me, that, I've been arguing directly with the geoengineers for quite some time. And then I moved on to the public realm of, trying to talk to people on YouTube and wrote my, my own websites and all that sort of stuff. But regardless, SRM Geoengineering, how to deal with the losers. Now I'm going to read this word for word because you're not going to believe what you're about to hear. It's likely that any solar radiation management geoengineering intervention will create winners and losers, and some nations may always be against any intervention whatsoever. Gregory Benford raised the issue of reaching agreement on global scale and how problematic it would be. For example, the Arctic Council of Nations agreed to initiate a decade-long field trial to cool the Arctic by 1 degree Celsius. This is still freaking top secret today. This is 2010. So the Arctic Council of Nations agreed to initiate a decade-long field trial to cool the Arctic. Details unknown. And I've read in another post that if the public found out what the Arctic Council was up to, that there would be pitchforks in the streets. But regardless, how could they deal with the complaints from nations who felt this experiment had induced a negative change in their climate? In any given year, there are floods, droughts, heat waves, etc., but during this field trial, a fraction of these events would be attributed to, rightly or wrongly, partially or fully, to the intervention, meaning geoengineering. 2 questions arise. Could it be determined if any changes in the climate outside of the target area had occurred as a result of the intervention during a 10-year trial? How would aggrieved nations or peoples seek reparations for perceived negative impacts, scientifically proven or otherwise? So this is where, and there's a lengthy conversation right here, but how to deal with the losers means how to deal with the dead people. So anytime you see the term, geoengineering governance, what they're really talking about is how to govern dealing with the losers, the dead people. And they're not going to tell you this. They're going to have, this is right here. This is public. You guys can read it yourself. Please pass this around. Link in chat. But this has been my modus operandi since then. PJ Irvine, it was a student at the time that he wrote this. He actually cited me and ClimateViewer.com in a paper that's on David Keith's website. You can see it on my About page. But PJ Irvine, I know a lot about the guy. Let's see, it's in here somewhere. It's one of these papers. My gosh. Anyway, I've got a bunch of citations. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. It should be MIT. No. It should be Oxford Press. No. Damn it. Where's Harvard? There it is. Jesse Reynolds and Peter Irvine. So this one is from Peter Irvine, as you can see right here. 5 solar geoengineering tropes that have outstayed their welcome. And third writer is Peter Irvine. And if you just do a quick search for ClimateViewer, you'll see that they cited me at the bottom talking about the SRM 2015 conference. Videos available at climateviewer.com/geoengineering SRM science. 2015 videos, link works. So they've been following me, for quite some time, and this is a research paper that's on David Keith's webpage. But regardless, the SRM 2015 conference, Solar Radiation Management Science at Cambridge University 2015, happened right before the COP21 conference. And basically, their goal was to, here it is. I think that's to a video. Let's see if I can actually find the link to the original thing. No. There it is. So this is the conference that they had. What the hell? Site can't be reached. They had to go and delete it. But, I've got this handy dandy Wayback Machine button, which I like to press. And I'll just actually type it in web.archive.org/web/star/enter. And we'll just dig that one up from the grave. Bwahaha. And this is what it looked like, since they want to delete the damn website. Don't screw up my live stream, brah. I got Wayback Machine. So what happened was they were having this conference 12th through 14th March 2015. Yeah, you're going to give me a cookie. Gotcha. And they've deleted the website since. But regardless, they were trying to get all their feces consolidated before COP21 so that they could, preach the gospel of geoengineering, while they were saying, basically it was a setup, that there was really no way, for, there was really no way for them to ever meet these goals. So what they basically were doing was going, hey, let's get all of our geoengineering papers together so that when we go to COP21, we can be prepared to sell, this idea. So what do you know? DC leaks. Hillary Clinton supports geoengineering or climate intervention. It turns out that Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, co-founded the Energy Future Coalition Steering Committee in 2002, and the latest DC leaks contain a March 2015 meeting, same time as the SRM 2015 conference, where they discuss how to fund geoengineering studies. And you guys can read all about this, but basically John Podesta and Hillary Clinton were planning right along with the SRM 2015 conference to say, that what people don't even realize is, and there's Eric Holdren, Obama's science guy, talking about geoengineering. And you can download the original meeting notes right here. I've got them backed up in the original source from DC Leaks. But what they go on to say, and they've got, all of these people's, Aiken Gump, the Daschle Group, Yale University, AFL-CIO, all these people were at the meeting, talking about how to, make geoengineering a reality. And, let me see if I can find the quote, because it's friggin' hilarious. Basically they say, we're not going to launch a big effort before Paris. Rafe Pomerantz. And the whole idea was, let's wait till after COP21 and then we'll try to sell this idea to the public of geoengineering. Because, we'll just set a goal. The goal will be unachievable. And then we're going to, make geoengineering legal. Oh, wait, we got to write, laws and all that sort of stuff for that. And that's where we're at right now with this, panelist call for creation of World Commission to handle solar radiation management. It's been in the works all this time. It's not just Paris that's driving that we're not getting research in geoengineering. We need to, basically have some incredibly scary stuff out there to really scare the public into agreeing to geoengineering. So, pretty fascinating article. Yeah, Mount Pinatubo, blah, blah, blah. That's about right. And, if you guys really want to know where all this stuff comes from, you can go to the bottom of any page and read the article. It's right about here. Let me get above these comments. Good Lord. Where am I? They're below the comments. My God. So this is the original deal. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. It's the Dr. Evil one, but anyway. We'll just go back to the story at hand. So anyway, read this stuff, Governing Solar Radiation Management, and know that that's talking about how to deal with the dead people. And if you've already looked at what's going on in Paris right now, which is a bit of irony, it's burning because of carbon taxes. So this geoengineering crap's not going to fly. Also, up on InfoWars today, terraforming has begun. Global dimming plot to exterminate humanity revealed. And that's, pretty much sums it up. Geoengineering on a worldwide scale will change rainfall patterns worldwide, period. I've got this in detail over on ClimateViewer.com. You can come and check out any of my presentations and they'll sum it up for you. This one being the main one. The Climate Changers and Water Wars, Technocracy, Geoengineering, and Replacing the Water Cycle. It's pretty lengthy. I think it's like, it's not that long. It's 30 slides long. But if you don't know what a technocrat is, that's the people pushing this agenda. I suggest you guys read the book Technocracy Rising by Patrick Wood. It's phenomenal. But, this is basically the whole, idea. Ruin the ocean, kill the trees, kill the bacteria that create all the natural water cycle, replace it with artificial clouds, end up with geoengineering. And I go through it in detail. You guys can read all about it. Presentations all over my website. But basically, we had climate change in the past. It was called the Dust Bowl. And what did we do to fix that climate change? We planted 220 million Vance, I'm not going to give you a sneak peek on the CubeSats, bro. The CubeSats, I'm working on a big, research project for that so I can break it all down. But there are many different CubeSats. I've already showed the one about the Air Force plans to bomb. Air Force plasma bomb the sky with CubeSats, okay? U.S. Air Force plans to plasma bomb the sky with freaking CubeSats. Now, they've been doing this forever, but, that's going to be... I'm going to make an entire presentation about it, similar to the one I was just showing. But regardless, CubeSats coming soon, chemtrails from space, about how they, basically are, been launching chemicals into space for quite some time, and they're going to continue to do so. So here, let's give you this one. Let's see if we can bring this up over here real quick. Let's skip the intros. So these are some sounding rockets. There you go. Let's back that up just a second. So that is a trimethyl aluminum sounding rocket. And then we're going to go, and this is from Poker Flat Research Range and HARP Research Facility in Gacona, Alaska. My boy Dominic Marama made this. I'm sneak peeking it for you guys right now. This is coming in the new CubeSat, Chemtrails from Space Part 3. But regardless, so that's what a trimethyl aluminum one looks like. Here's what a barium release looks like. Ooh, and they have like this pinkish reddish glow to them. And then finally, we have lithium, and it looks a little something like this. Boom. So, CubeSats do all of the above. Trimethyl aluminum, that's right. So, I call it chemtrails from space. In fact, just recently... the head of HARP, where'd I put it at? Where'd I hide his crap at? I have way too many links up here, obviously. The head of HARP, Chris Fallon, said this, because we've been having this lengthy debate I've been debating with Chris Fallon, the director of HARP, and Paul Fox, Paul Delgado from Fox News. He's a meteorologist. Been in this long ongoing thing. And he says, and this is freaking hilarious, with apologies to Paul Fox, who's doing his best under the circumstances, here are some pictures of a trimethyl aluminum trails from sounding rockets launched from Poker Flat Research Range, which I just showed you guys, north of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In other words, legitimate chemtrail science. And that is actual photos from from chemtrails from space. This is part of what I'm going to be showing in the CubeSat thing. You made me do it, Vance. There you go. But you guys can look at my chemtrails from space stuff. From space. I have an entire YouTube playlist on this. Chemtrails from Space, Part 1 and Part 2. And the CubeSats will be in Part 3 coming soon. You guys can check that out. Why are wet surface air coolers attached to nuclear power plants? Because they would blow up without them. And I have every single one of those, over here on ClimateViewer 3D. So let's just jump into that. We'll do some ClimateViewer 3D. I'm going to close all the rest of this out because it makes me sick and I don't really want to talk about it anymore. And I really want to just talk about my toy right here. So let me close other tabs. That's kind of scary. Is it going to close all the other tabs in the other window? Thank God it didn't. All right, what? All right, so yeah, dude. I know. I'm a tease. Anyway, so if you guys haven't been to climateviewer.org yet, go over there now. And I'm going to show you all a couple cool little tricks that I've done. So this is the front page of ClimateViewer, and you can click this to go to ClimateViewer 3D and go to the 3D version. What I realized was why my my little links weren't working is because I got an iframe issue. So I'm going to show you this from the get-go right here on here. So I'm going to go ahead and clear all this out. I'm going to hit the trash can. So when you first come to the website, just click on Map List. Click on Add Maps. And at the top there are, you can hit Show All. And there's a search box. So you can search by, like, say if I type in HAARP, it'll show you North Korean nuclear test mountain collapse, HAARP and the ionospheric heaters worldwide, and the high frequency active auroral research program. If I click on that, it'll take you to HAARP, okay? If I want to see HAARP, I can go to base maps, click on ESRI aerial, and bam, now I can actually fly in and see the HAARP facility. Okay? So you click on this, it'll tell you all about HAARP, all the antennas, how powerful it is, some information on it, a couple extra shots on it, and everything else at the HAARP facility. I actually mapped this out 3 years ago, 4, maybe 5 years ago actually, and at the time, there wasn't even a satellite view of this. There was just some very grainy shots, so I had to guess at these locations, and I nailed it. So right here you have what's called the modular UHF ionospheric radar. It's a little baby HAARP. It's on a diagnostic instrument pad, okay? And this is diagnostic instrument pad number 1. Over here is the main facility, and this is where you come in the gate. And you can see that's what the building looks like, and that's Death Star 1, or the HAARP main control room, right there. And the diesel engines that power it are right here. And right here is another radar that most people don't know about. This is the VHF ionospheric radar. It looks like a bike rack. Go figure. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick tour of the ionosphere, the whole HAARP facility. You go down the road. This is what most people call HAARP, but it's actually called the Ionospheric Research Instrument, or IRI. HAARP is actually the whole damn facility, okay? So let's just clarify that. This is HAARP, all of this together. This is HAARP's IRI, or Ionospheric Research Instrument. So there you go. That's the main difference on that. Right down the street from that, this little white dot is an aircraft alert radar. And it tells planes to get the hell out of the way. So whenever they're firing that thing off, they don't want a plane flying through it because it'd fry all the instruments in it. So there you go. This is another diagnostic instrument pad. This is pad 2. I actually got one incorrection here. I thought this was also an alert radar, which it's marked as, but this is actually a diagnostic instrument pad also. I'm going to change that. I'll update that in the near future. And HAARP's DigiSonde is right here. You can see it looks like, it's like 4 or 5 poles with wires strewn between it. Digisondes are ways for them to check the ionosphere and listen to the, just to diagnose what they're doing. And you can see if you look real close, it's like an X right there. You see the plus? That's what we're talking about there. And matter of fact, if you go to Facebook, let's see, facebook.com/UAF HAARP. Right now, they just posted some new pictures of that thing. In fact, let's go to their main page. I'll show you that real quick because they just posted some new pictures. So I'm gonna add it to the map. Scrolling on down. There's the Death Star 1. I had a photo of that way back in the day. My photo is cooler. It's actually turned on at the time. And there is the ionosign. So you can see it right there. Here's the links to that. I'll drop that in chat for you guys. You can take a peeky peek. But that's what we're talking about. That's the digisign. Basically, it's a bunch of wires connected to what's called a LOL digisign, and it allows them to. And I nailed it. I actually made this map before you could even see this on satellite. So the fact that I got it right on the money was pretty. I was pretty stoked about that. But regardless. That's the digisign, and then up the way is the final diagnostic instrument pad. There goes another ionosign. I have to add that to my map. And another instrument pad, which wasn't visible before, but now is. And then finally up here, we've got the HARP optical shelters. And this is where they actually do the viewing of air glow and all that sort of thing that they're doing. They've got, this is the Volcano station, ITS-10. It's a listening device. There's their old ghetto, what is that, a Commodore 64, dude? With an oscilloscope attached to it. This is what's called Diagnostic Instrument Pad number 3. This is how I was able to, basically map all this stuff out. And you can see right here, the induction magnetometer is gone. That's what we used to look at back in the day when the U.S. Air Force was running the facility. There's the telescope dome, and the optical shelter's got a little bubble on top that they can stick their head out of, and an imaging riometer right here, and then the classic 30 megahertz riometer over here. So these are all instruments that listen to what they're doing overhead when they're screwing with the sky. All right, so that being said, you would think that my little map just shows HARP, but it doesn't. If you click the little icon right here, you can actually see that all of these things I just showed you, you can click on them and it'll fly you to them like this. So you can actually fly around to them. But if you zoom out, let me reset the zoom on this. What you're going to see is HARP's actually a little bigger than you think, because there's actually these stations. One's up here at the Arctic Village Station, one's at the Delta Station, and one's at the Cordova Station. And they've got these other listening devices that monitor, HARP. And then right here is the Poker Flat rocket range that I was showing you before. So this is where they launch their rockets from when they're doing their experiments. And up there they've got a laser beam. This is the Poker Flat LiDAR. There's the green laser. Over here they've got a couple radars, communication radars, the Climate Change Monitoring Station, the T. Neil Davis Science Operations Center. This is a telemetry and tracking facility. It's got a couple radar domes and stuff. But this is called the Poker Flat Research Range. And you can see right here, I'll blow that up for you. Best equipped sounding rocket launch facility in the north. And that's where they launch all their aluminum, barium, and all of that sort of stuff into space. And it's used in conjunction with the HARP facility. So if you don't know about sounding rockets, that's part of the whole gig, is that they fire these things into space. And then they light them up with their laser beams and their rockets and such. But regardless, they also have this thing up here called the Poker Flat Incoherent Scatter Radar, or PFISR, which is the new Advanced Modular Incoherent Scatter Radar, or AMISR. These are the new form of HARPs. New forms of their radar installations. There's one here at Poker Flat, and there's another at Resolute Bay. Anyway, and they've got an imaging riometer right here. You can see pictures of that. I go through and make little mini web pages out of each of these dots on the map, and you're only looking at one map right here. And then finally, on the other side of the ocean, way out here in the middle of the ocean, is the HAARP one-hop buoy, which you can see here. And this thing that's what's called the conjugate location for HAARP. Literally, when they shoot their, signals into space, it goes all the way from up here in Alaska and lands all the way down here, close to Antarctica. And you can see that's what the buoy looks like, and it's out in the middle of the ocean. So there you go. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you the HAARP thing real quick, and then I was going to show you, we were talking about Doppler radars earlier on Mike's show, so I wanted to show you guys a little bit of that. So I'm going to delete HAARP out of there, and it's going to show all 542 maps. Click on Pollution and Privacy, and then click on Atmospheric Sensors and EMF Sites. When you click on a subcategory, it's going to give you previews of all the maps. So the DigiSign I just showed you up at HAARP, here are all the DigiSigns of the world. Here are all the directed energy lasers, particle colliders like CERN, and gravitational wave detectors. All the extremely low frequency ULF, VLF transmission sites, ionospheric heaters of the world. We're going to skip that for now. Radio telescopes and deep space communications, the low frequency, LOFAR, and the EVBLA, the BBLA. Let's turn all that on. And let's see what else. We'll pick one more. No, that's probably more than enough. So what you get is these are all of the different things that are shooting electromagnetic radiation into the sky right now, including the GWEN stations. I have them mapped out. The extremely low frequency transmitters at Clam Lake, Wisconsin, and Republic, Michigan. If you look at these, they're actually miles long, and they're just a set of wires. You would think that they were just high-powered transmission lines, but they're actually an extremely low-frequency transmitter. Yes, that took forever to go through and map all that out, but you can actually see where they've cut the trees for the wire to run. I'm very, very, very nosy, to say the least. But this was called Project Sanguine, and this was a predecessor to HAARP. The other over here is shaped like a F for F you guys, and this was associated with what was known as the Taos Hum, and this is the one in Republic, Michigan, as you can see. People actually jumped the fence and were cutting the wires at this thing because they were feeling a hum in their head. So pretty scary stuff. Don't know if it's still operational, but they've moved on to new ways to modify to do the VLF. Like this one over here in Cutler, Maine, and you can see that it's a kind of similar idea. Big tall towers, guide wires holding it up, and it's at right at 2 million watts, 1.8 million watts at 24 kilohertz. So very low frequencies, coming out. Republic, Michigan, Vance. So you can check all this stuff out. It's available on the map at any time. Anyway, this would look so much cooler in 3D. I'm only on this one right now to show you guys the Doppler thing that I did. So let's do that real quick. I've got particle colliders like the Fermilab holometer on here, and a whole bunch more. You guys should dig into all this stuff. Pretty cool stuff on here. Anyway, let me clear all this out. I'm gonna hit the trash can, come back over here, and I want to show you guys the Doppler radar stuff. So there's actually 4 different kinds of Doppler radars, and Mike was seeing some kind of interference on there, and what I think he was seeing was the Joint Surveillance System, or what's known as Air Route Surveillance Radar, ASR4. So let's take a look at that. And where's the IOS? And then the Integrated Ocean Observing System Doppler radar stations. So these are actually all of the Doppler radars in America. Pretty cool. Now, when we was looking at it earlier, he was looking at this next rad station right here, KHNX, and seeing, and this one right here, KVTX, and seeing some funky transmissions. Well, down here at Vandenberg Air Force Base, there is the NORAD ID Z231 Joint Surveillance System. These are FAA long-range radars. And then right up here is J32 at Paso Robles, California. And these can interfere with the next rads as well. There's another one right here at Boron FAA long-range radar site. So these don't show up on any of the weather maps that Mike's looking at. And as far as I know, I cannot get live data from any of these Doppler radar stations because they're run by the FAA and the military, and they're for tracking planes. Yes, this is true. So the green one, the yellow ones are terminal Doppler weather radar. These are usually right near an airport. So they're for tracking ground winds. They have a much shorter range, and there aren't as many of them. But they're very accurate. They're lower power than the Doppler radars. And then the blue ones are integrated ocean observing system Doppler radars. And this one's in Duck, North Carolina. And what it does is it shoots its Doppler beams into the ocean to measure things like surface currents and stuff like that. But the green ones are the actual Doppler radars that we normally see. So what I did was I went back through and I edited, and I'm going to turn off all of the other ones real quick so we can just focus on that. I went through and I edited my Doppler radar map to update it so that you can go to any one of these. Like say I'm going to click right here and click on radar animation, and bam, pop you straight to the radar animation page. So why is it doing that to me? Flash is enabled. Allow. That way I can actually just, go straight to the animation straight from my Doppler map, which I think is pretty badass. And in addition to that, what I was talking about in the chat over there on Mike's live stream is there's something called NextRad Level 3 data. So in addition to being able to go to any one of these, click on this and see the radar animation, you can also go and click on NextRad station data, and that's going to take you to the NextRad inventory where you can actually see all of what's called level 3 data. So what normally we would see is base data level 2. That's what you're seeing on College of DuPage. But there's all this other stuff like short range, base reflectivity, base velocity, differential reflectivity, storm relative velocity, all of this stuff, melting layer, 1 hour precipitation, all of this. But one of the really cool ones is general status messages, radar outage notification, and the radar status log. So if you go and you put in a date, so go 12, we'll go 3, we'll go 2018, and then we'll put that in and we'll hit create graph. What's going to tell you more than likely is, oh, we can't do that. So please enter your email address and we'll send you the data. Before it would actually load this on the fly, and lately it's been just coming up with a blank image, which is pretty stupid. But you can get this level 3 data by going there, dropping your email address in, start time, end time, order data. It's free. That's the only way that you can actually get to NextRad level 3 data that I've been able to find recently without going through a headache. I use something called Unidata IDV, and you can see this at UCAR. Unidata is where basically all of the information of the world flows into UCAR, and UCAR is the head of all weather modification research in America. It's the preeminent university for that sort of thing. And I usually use something called the Integrated Data Viewer IDV. You guys can check that out. But there's also AWIPS. And AWIPS is what the military, Raytheon, and NOAA now use for all the weather forecasts. So I'm going to give you an example of filtered and unfiltered NEXRAD data real quick. So now we're going to go hop up here and leave the pollution and privacy atmospheric sensor section and go to live alerts and weather. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on rain and snow, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to load two different Doppler radar sets. U.S. rainfall, NEXRAD Doppler radar, base reflectivity, and then the Ridge 2 mosaics. And so that we can see this nice and clearly, I'm going to go to the base map and I'm going to put it on black. So now you can actually see the actual NEXRAD stations and their base reflectivity in this one. So we're going to compare the two. This is what they show you on TV, as you can see here. See the difference? All right. Now I'm going to turn on the unfiltered version. Big difference. And what do we have here? Laser beams. So if you look at the base reflectivity, you're going to see a lot of different stuff that you're not going to see in College of DuPage. You're not going to see anywhere else. Again, before, after. Pretty crazy difference. And you can do this with any part of the map. Come up here. This is over the Great Lakes. This is what it looks like. What the heck you got going on there? See that pulse right through there? Watch this. Turn this on. Oh, look there. We got some pulse action there. And I'll turn off the other one. And that's strikingly similar, actually. But as we can see, with this, you can actually see where the pulses are coming from. Click on that. And then go to radar animation. And then animate that bad boy and see if you see the pulse on there. There's the pulse. So that's the cool thing about ClimateViewer.org, is that I'm trying to integrate as much as possible so that I can see it from many different directions, have many different sources. And that's just the NEXRAD stuff there. So, all right, we're going to zoom out of that. We got a couple, laser beams going on. And, I've even got the Guam station. I don't know if you guys know this, but they've got them over here now in South Korea. So you can check those out. And they don't have live data on that, but they do have the NEXRAD level 3 data on South Korea. Those were just added. So I just added them to the map. All right, and then one other thing I wanted to show on here, and I'm going to hop over to ClimateViewer 3D for this, because it's my baby. And like I said, right now that's not working, the Doppler radar thing I just showed you, because of a script error. I'm going to fix that after we get off this. But everything that's on the NASA Worldview is also available on ClimateViewer. You just go to NASA Gibbs satellites, and you'll see that everything from aerosol optical depth to atmospheric gases, brightness, temperature, clouds. I made preview images of what they all look like so you can see them before you click them. Ocean temperatures. So, everything that Mike's showing on there, you can check it out in 3D, and freaking gorgeous 3D, I might add. Right live on there. And on these, the date picker, you just click the little button here, and there's a date chooser, so you just click and choose the day that you want, and it'll bring up that day. Works just like the other one, except you don't have to go to NASA's website and get all their tracking cookies. You are protected over here on ClimateViewer.org. So let's go to the ship track thing. I want to show you guys something really cool. So if you go to Visual, This is what you normally would see with the visual. So this is the one that Mike's normally looking at, and it does the same thing. You zoom in, it gets sharper, and that's pretty neat and all. But as far as ship tracks goes, I want to show you something really cool. So here we have some ship tracks. Now watch this. If I go to what's called the 367 band, and it's right here, it actually highlights the ship tracks. See? Watch this. Before. You can see them. I mean, you can kind of see it there. What am I? I'm on Terra and Aqua, so it's not the exact same image. Let me bring up the other one. So let me go to Terra instead. Modus Terra, True Color, so they're identical. All right, so let's go back. All right, where were we? Right here. All right. So you can see some of the ship tracks. And then I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to turn this down. Watch it highlight them. Even the little ones that aren't so visible become very visible with this 367 band. And it's specifically for tracking this sort of thing. So whenever I'm hunting down chemtrails and I'm hunting down ship tracks, I go to the 367 band because it can see things that you normally won't see as easily. I mean, you wouldn't have even noticed that one right there. Right? Pretty freaking cool. And it highlights them. I mean, they stand out like a sore thumb. So that can't be a coincidence, and I usually look through to see where the heaviest spray locations are on the 367 band because they really stand out as compared to that. So check out that one. Really freaking cool. It's called Modus Terra Corrected Reflectance True Color, which is what Mike's normally looking at. And then it's bands 367. And you can do this for anything going back to, like say, December, let's go January 31. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, January 2013, 31. And come out here and look at some really cool ones. Or was it the 30th? It was in my accidental geoengineering article. Some of the biggest ship tracks I ever seen. It must have been the 30th. Let's see. Yeah, it was the 30th. Let's go there. There you go. Great example right here. So this is January 30th, 2013. You can see the ship tracks here. You cannot see them until I turn this off down here. So that's a really cool way to be able to go and check that out. And as you can see, it clearly highlights even the ship tracks that you normally would not see in the cloud banks. This is called marine stratocumulus, and they are made by ship tracks. So whenever they're talking about their massive accidental experiment in geoengineering over the Pacific Ocean, this is exactly what they're talking about. And they can be seen as far over to Japan and such like that. So really cool version on that. And you can see it also highlights all the damn pollution coming off of China pretty well. But regardless, couple other things you guys can check out on, and I'm just hitting the trash icon up here to clear everything off. ClimateViewer 3D and ClimateViewer Mobile. ClimateViewer Mobile is on the front page, climateviewer.org. You can see things like air quality, so you can bring that up, air quality current, and it'll show you the air quality, as of this moment bring it up, and it'll show you PM 2.5, unhealthy for sensitive groups, Redding, California, things like that. You can see ClimateViewer reports. If you guys haven't tried that, go over to climateviewer.crowdmap.com and put your own reports in. These are reports from people like you. They're displayed live on the map. These are just the reports from this year. Things like two suns spotted over Texas. Get out of here. You kidding me? No, that looks like two suns, but it might be a lens flare. Go figure. But that's anyway. This is somebody's. That does look like two suns right there. But anyway, so this is ClimateViewer reports. You can put your own reports in by hitting submit a report, and those will appear over on ClimateViewer 3D and ClimateViewer.org front page. Let's see what else we got here. Earthquakes. I've got everything from the European earthquakes to the USGS earthquakes and the NOAA buoys. You're not going to find all this in one spot anywhere. So dig into those. That's a very large map that's loading right there. And all the magnitude 2.5 last week. So let's give that a second to load up. And bam, we have earthquakes, including the 7.0 that hit up here in Alaska. I just did a video on that. There's the 7.0. Click on that. It'll show you magnitude 7.0. Click here for more info. Bam. And of course I have the same problem. I got to go fix that. But right now, I got to update this window, this pop-up window on ClimateViewer 3D, because it's not going to allow JavaScript on any website you click to. So that's a bummer. Bummer for me in my video right now. I'll fix that later tonight. I've been making some changes, but anyway, you can also see all of the buoys. So when you're looking at an earthquake that happens out here, then you can click on the buoy and actually see the column water height in real time, see more observations from, click at the station, and these are all of the buoys that are out in the ocean that are monitoring for wave height. So this is a great way to track tsunamis also. So pretty cool stuff. And you can see they're worldwide. And it's got all of the, oil rig stations in the Gulf. And many of these have, weather data and wave data on them as well. So you can look into those. But the buoys are the ones that usually have the real-time data in them. So that's earthquake monitoring. You also have fires and volcanoes. So you go right here, click on volcanoes. Watch this crap. You're going to like this. I'm going to turn off all this stuff. And I'm going to go to base maps. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom. And I'm going to turn on 3D terrain, because it just makes it cooler. So you can click on these and it'll tell you all of the recent volcanic eruptions. And again, you click the little icon right here and it'll actually fly you to each one. So fly to that one. Let's see what we get. What's going on here? Oh, I'm still on black, aren't I? Might help if I turn on the satellite view, give it some pretty visuals. So then you can actually see the volcano in 3D. Pretty freaking cool. And fly to the next one. It'll pop up. Zoom out a little bit. Rotate it over and you can see all of the volcanoes that are currently erupting around the globe in 3D. Have a lot of fun with this. So volcanoes happen to be one of my favorite ones to look at. Just because, darn, that's neat. Being able to see them in 3D. And in order to see them in 3D, all you do is go to the bottom of base globe, put on 3D terrain or 3D terrain with the water mask. The water mask just basically puts this cool ocean effect on where it's like animated, which I think is prettier. But anyway, this is my toy. I will always be adding new things to it. If you guys have any suggestions for new things to add to it, that'd be greatly appreciated. Send them my way, jim@climateviewer.com. And then I've got all the fire mapping of the world also on here. So all that MODIS, Terra, and VIIRS, fire tracking stuff. You can see those in real time. You can see every volcano in the world by clicking here, and NOAA smoke detection, the NC Web fire information there, all of that sort of thing. Oh, they're detecting a whole bunch of smoke down here, as we can see. Interesting. And then, like I said, every volcano in the world. Just like that. So those are the ones that aren't blowing up right now, thank God. But regardless, interesting to know. So I'm not going to turn any of these fire maps on right now because that would be a whole distraction. Track hurricanes right there, lightning strikes, lightning strike density, all of that sort of stuff. Rain and snow. I've got multiple different versions. For all you guys in the European side, you can click on these two. They're the multi-sensor precipitation estimates from the EU METSAT. And you can go through those, and U.S. river flood levels. I use this every time there's a hurricane to see if any nuclear power plants are getting flooded. So dig into that. It's a very large map. I will attempt to load now. Keep your fingers crossed. This may take a second. And there we go. And as you can see, they are color coded. So if you see red, that means flooding. And if you look at it, it'll say flood stage at 100 feet, moderate flood stage 101 feet, major flood stage 103 feet. And it says currently in Jacksonville, Florida, this is at 102.04 feet. So that thing is flooding. And that's how I monitor floods on ClimateViewer 3D in real time. All right, and then let's reset the zoom on that so you guys can see the regular view. And like I said, for rainfall totals on the other side of the world, for all of my foreign viewers, trying to look out for you too. So you can either go straight to the rain section, or you can go to the satellite section. Watches and warning, wind. I'm going to add many more wind maps. I might even add this stuff from Earth.nullschool. It's going to be pretty cool. Mike Morales didn't appear out of nowhere. Me and Mike go way back, believe it or not. Mike's longtime friend. Over here on the other satellite section, you can see the U.S. Naval Research Lab maps. They're pretty cool, like their water vapor map. Let me close some of this other stuff out because we got way too much crap on the screen. Alright, so these come straight from the U.S. Naval Research Lab. They're live. I've got multiple different sources of these. So U.S. Navy Research Lab, I'm going to cut that one off. And then I'm going to go to, these are the GOES, the old GOES. I'm going to get the GOES 16 up there as soon as possible. EU METSAT, pretty cool stuff on this. Of course, I think it's nighttime over there right now, so we're not even going to be able to see the natural color, which would be pretty dope right now. It's starting to come in. These are pretty sharp, usually. And of course, they're blurry today. There you go. This is from the European satellite section. And if you actually click this right now, you can see where the daytime and nighttime are. So they are in the daytime, as we can see here. And that's the nighttime line right there. And if you want to actually screw with that, you can come over here and speed it up with the timeline. Go to tomorrow, which isn't going to make a lot of sense, but you could do that. So that's how you track where the sun is and everything in 3D. Yurda, yurda, yurda. I'm going to turn the timeline back off and the sunlight off. All right, so finally, these are all the European satellites that are not available on NASA Worldview. And finally, everybody's favorite, the Sims mimic stuff. Yes, I've got that built into ClimateViewer also. So I'll take a look at, let's say, North Atlantic. Go there real quick. And these are animated, so the timeline is going to pop up automatically, and you can rock them back and forth. Try that Ed, on any other website. Not going to happen. And you can actually load multiples of these up at the same time, so you can grab this one, and this one, and this one. And let's not do the version 2s yet. And then bam, they're going to kind of overlay each other. And you can rock all them bad boys at the same time. But these are all the different images that they have. And you can rock them back and forth like so. Or bring them up individually, however you choose. But I, had to add those in there because they're really cool. Let me get that out of there, out of there, out of there, out of there. And then come back over here. I have the second version. There's a couple different versions of this. There's the TPW2. I think Mike shows that one a lot. But this one's really cool looking. If you haven't ever seen the NHC enhancement, check it out. Pretty fancy stuff. Again, you can animate it by dragging it like so. Zoom in, it'll get a little bit sharper. And animate that stuff as well. Going to be adding a lot of animations to ClimateViewer 3D in the near future. But, there's the mimic section, microwave stuff, and the water vapor and all that junk. And I think I've pretty much gone through all of the other satellites, the NASA Gibbs, the live stuff. And of course, there's my section. We'll do that in another video another time, guys, because all of my maps, I've got 97 maps that I've created covering things from, like you've seen, every HARP facility in the world to every nuclear reactor in the world, the Chernobyl meltdown, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear meltdown, 2,615 nuclear detonations. Very quickly, I can turn on all of the nuclear reactors of the world and see them. Every single one of these has a photo, by the way. You don't know how hard that was. And you can zoom into them simply by clicking on any one of these little tree icons and flying to them. Like so. What's in the way of this? Why is this green like this? Oh, I've got the satellite thing still on. I can get rid of that. Now let's do it. And it'll fly you right down to the nuclear reactor where you can see those wet water cooling towers and all of that. Apparently that one's been shut down. Oh, it says closed on it. Derp. Fukushima. Fly to the Fukushima Daiichi reactors just by flying around by clicking on these things like this. So, and like I said, every single one has photos attached to it and all of that. We will do those another time. Yes, Vance, I will work on the CubeSat thing as soon as possible. I got a lot on my plate right now. I'm currently reworking weathermodificationhistory.com. I've got some stuff to add over there. I'm going to be, putting a whole bunch of new stuff into that, to say the least. So, stay tuned. Going to be a lot of new stuff coming in the near future. I hope you guys will subscribe and share this video. I'll be doing more live videos like this because it'll save me time on having to go through and edit them afterwards. And I get to interact with you guys directly instead of doing it on Facebook. So thank you all for tuning into my first live attempt to stream a video. I'm going to wrap this thing up real quick. And, if you guys could support my work, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm on patreon.com/ClimateViewer, paypal.me/ClimateViewer, and gofundme.com/ClimateViewer. Everything I'm doing is free of charge, open source, and supported by guys like you. I've been doing this for 7 years now. My wife is home from work, and I need to go show her some attention. So we're going to wrap this thing up. Remember, guys, everything I'm doing is, to really bring some truth to the fact, truth to this, topic of weather modification and geoengineering. I try to keep it real, facts minus fear porn. And, with that information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So I want you all to remember that when you're using ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, or WeatherModificationHistory.com, or anything for that matter, attack ideas, not people.